With there being a large number of videos published to the YouTube platform every day, it's inevitable that strange content would slip through the cracks of the site's moderation and avoid potential consequences. Over the years, there's been light shed on some of the strangest rabbit holes of content, such as those fake animal rescue videos, monkey hate, ElsaGate, among others, and in today's video we'll be exploring yet another questionable pocket of YouTube content. Before we dive into today's rabbit hole, I think it's important to set the stage and establish where in the world our story takes place, that being in the continent of Asia, specifically in Vietnam. This country, populated by over 100 million people, has many big cities including Haiphong, the home of over 2 million people, and the country's capital, Hanoi, with over 8 million residents. Heading outside of the city will naturally take us to the more rural parts of the country, where we're met with beautiful fields, forests, and mountainous regions where many call home. Some of those living in rural areas of Vietnam make their living by farming, and on YouTube, content of workers showcasing what their day-to-day is like can be found, and it's admittedly pretty interesting content. This one channel I found, going by the name Wild Girl, has a video that stopped me in my tracks as soon as I saw the thumbnail, and I just had to click on it. At first I thought it was like clickbait or something, because to the eyes of an American city boy such as myself, a build like this seems like it should only be possible in like Minecraft or something, yet there she is making this pretty friggin' cool shelter out of bamboo. This other channel I found, called Life in Vietnam, also has pretty interesting content. In this one video where a mother and daughter are shown to be doing their work for the day, it's pretty heartwarming seeing those moments where the mother is showing her daughter the ropes, and it's also adorable seeing her try her best to help out her parents. I think it's important to note though that in the videos I've seen made by this channel, the young girl isn't ever on camera being forced to partake in any of the heavier labor her parents are seen doing, and she's only seen playing minor roles in overall projects, never being responsible for any of the heavy lifting. I make it a point to mention this because although the little girl isn't being forced to do anything all that intensive, that unfortunately isn't the case for every child, as Vietnam has historically been a place where child labor in rural areas is common. And according to an article from Monash University in Australia, quote, Vietnamese children as young as 11 are working for up to 18 hours a day in harsh and abusive conditions, often unpaid and denied communication with their families. On top of this, on a website of the US Department of Labor, there's a list of goods produced by child labor, specifically in Vietnam, with many of the descriptions stating there's evidence that children aged 5 to 17 played a role in producing many of the goods. On June 1st, 2016, laws were implemented protecting children from exploitation, including child labor, and according to the International Labor Organization, studies show efforts in preventing child exploitation have paid off to some extent, as between the years 2012 to 2018, child labor decreased from 15.5% to 9.1%. However, according to a different article by the United Nations Children's Fund from 2021, in recent years there's been a global increase in child labor, so whether or not it's increased in Vietnam as well is unclear, but regardless, to an extent the problem persists. Going back to the videos we were just talking about, without a doubt there's some wholesome moments sprinkled all throughout these videos of rural life in Vietnam. However, up until this point I've been showcasing the tame side of this pocket of YouTube, and things start getting weird when orphans begin to enter the picture. A channel going by the name Orphan Girl without a doubt isn't the worst of the channels I discovered while digging through the side of YouTube, but throughout this channel's thumbnails, we can begin to pick up on some common themes used throughout many of these videos containing supposed orphans. Here we see videos of a young girl struggling to make ends meet, doing various tasks throughout the day in efforts to sustain herself. One video she's making traps to catch fish in order to sell them. In another she's shown gardening and growing crops to sell, upon many other misadventures. It's unclear how old this girl is, or if she's truly an orphan, or who's even running this channel, but if I had to take a guess, maybe an older relative is the one behind the camera. In this one video, there's multiple scenes that are clearly staged with an older woman kicking the young girl's food out of her hand while she's eating it, and another where an older man kicks over her rice, so perhaps those are her relatives, and by extension, the one who's directing the channel's content. But moving forward, another channel that makes similar content going by this name right here also depicts a girl who's ostensibly an orphan doing her day-to-day tasks, and in the case of this channel, the thumbnails are a bit more alarming, as in some of them, the girl is seen being aggressively grabbed, getting kicked out of her own home, and within some of the content itself, the girl's supposed stepmother seems to be constantly yelling at her. Again, these videos also seem to have parts that are staged, and although these channels aren't the most deplorable, I still find it a bit unsettling that videos depicting orphan children struggling to survive and taking on tasks that seem like they probably shouldn't be doing without an adult are doing well on the platform. Just like with the videos we initially went over that were showcasing their work on channels such as Life in Vietnam and Wild Girl, the appeal to these videos also seemed to be the actual labor they're doing, as they take up majority of the runtime, with one of the main differences being that instead of simply showing adults working, these videos show the young girls doing various works. On top of this, there's an element of drama and storytelling to an extent, given all of these stage scenarios and how these girls are allegedly orphans traveling, working, and ultimately surviving. If we take a look at the description box of these videos, there's a myriad of hashtags such as orphaned or poor girl, and these tags, along with the search term orphan on YouTube, open up an entirely new can of worms where these themes of poor orphans struggling to survive are amplified, and the content along with the way these videos are marketed become more unsettling and questionable. February 28th, 2025 was the day fellow creator Raymundo2112 uploaded a video raising awareness of a new wave of OrphanGate content. Towards the end of it, he shed light on today's topic, this whole orphan rabbit hole of content, as well as mentioning the creator who initially covered these videos going by the name Bittersnake. In his video, he shows tons of channels, some of which were thankfully removed off YouTube. However, when I decided to check these channels out for myself, I was honestly pretty surprised at some of the content I found. Before we talk about any of the channels I found, I just want to say that as a content creator, at the end of the day, I get to decide what the final draft of an overall video looks like, from the writing to the editing, what elements I choose to include or cut out, and also what thumbnail I go with. That's not to say mistakes in one or more of these creative processes don't occur, but for the most part, what you see is what I intended for you to see, and that same logic without a doubt applies to a majority of users on YouTube, creating content with the intention to garner some sort of attention, including all of the channels I'll be covering, starting with this one you see on screen right now. This channel that's managed to amass over 200,000 subscribers has videos where the appeal seems to be the labor being done, whether by the children seen throughout this channel's thumbnails or by whoever's presumably taking care of them. A lot of the videos I checked out seem to have a focus on the lives of said children and their struggle to survive. On top of this, I find it especially strange that whoever's running this channel is using kids to make these thumbnails where they look like they're in distress, and this seems to be one of the biggest reasons for this channel's success. In this channel's biggest video with over 3 million views, towards the end of it, there was a scene I found disturbing of the kids sitting there crying, especially the younger of the two seemingly alone with no one around. As someone that's been around children my whole life, I definitely understand that kids are total crybabies, and although I don't know the full extent of what happens when those cameras aren't rolling, I think there's something to be said about the one recording these videos and how they're seemingly just allowing for these moments in which their children are completely in tears to be caught on camera just for the sake of YouTube content. And without a doubt, I'm not the only one that finds this notion to be questionable to some extent, as this video has a considerable amount of dislikes, along with the comments having been disabled. Children that appear to be helpless and crying intensely are unfortunately common themes on this strange side of YouTube, and as we continue with the thumbnails along with the actual content of these channels get worse, and we can see yet another example of thumbnails depicting helpless children coming from another channel going by this name right here. On this channel, there's thumbnails of children beating on each other, another one with the child's arms and legs tied up, as well as children on the ground crying. Things however do get darker as the next creator going by this name, along with the usual kid crying in the thumbnail, there's even more examples of children being shown beating on each other, choking one another, and it's even crazier that this thumbnail right here of one child choking the other with fake blood, minus the fake blood, is actually real, and I just don't understand why you would want to record this type of thing at all. Whether this is staged or not, that child's tears are undoubtedly real, as he's too young to understand what's even going on. Another channel with similarly unnerving thumbnails can be found of children choking each other, another one where a child has some sort of cloth tied around their neck, and on top of this, specifically in this video, one of the older girls put a plastic bag over one of the younger child's head. Yet another channel has thumbnails depicting with one of them clearly having an older woman being depicted strangling a child. Some of the worst and by far most bizarre thumbnails can be found on these channels right here, with this one depicting young children being eaten and strangled by snakes, and although these thumbnails are clearly fake, it's unsettling nonetheless. Lastly, this channel right here isn't even trying to hide the fact that their intention is to depict these children being and whoever's making these thumbnails are intentionally altering them, adding in elements like fake blood. This channel, along with a lot of the aforementioned channels depicting should not even exist on the platform, regardless of whether or not it's real or fake, as according to YouTube's child safety policy, content shouldn't be posted if it's shown, quote, inflicting or advocating for the infliction of physical or emotional maltreatment or neglect of a child, including inflicting emotional distress on minors, content that could cause minor participants or viewers emotional distress, including simulating parental abuse, among other themes. This policy applies to videos, video descriptions, comments, stories, community posts, live streams, playlists, and any other YouTube product or feature. thank goodness that to an extent YouTube has been cracking down on these videos thanks to the awareness being raised by creators such as Bittersnake and Raymundo, but there is still a ton of videos, and as of recording this right now, all the channels that I showed in this video are still up. This is clearly some sort of trend that's going on, and these channels are successful to an extent. Some of these channels are growing, some of these channels are monetized, some of these channels have ads or whatever, blah blah blah. These are all the channels that I found. Please YouTube, take a closer look at these channels. I really hope, if anything, bro, this video can catch the attention of a YouTube employee and they can go ahead and do something about these videos. I hope this video can raise some sort of awareness. The best thing we can do, just like with all the OrphanGate stuff, is to report it. I'll be personally reporting all the channels that I found. I want to give a shout out to Raymundo, Bittersnake, and also Sleepless Night for the inspiration for this video. If you would like to support me and my channel and all that I do, whatever, you can go to the Patreon. Just want to thank you for watching my video. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later. Deuces.